Good morning. Today we're going to put the real estate hat on and talk about home inspections. I found this article this morning and I didn't read it yet because I wanted to blind react to it with you. So let's get right into it. I'm Michelle Flood with eXp Realty here in the state of Florida. If you have a need for a real estate agent outside of the state of Florida, I could still help you. eXp is nationwide and actually worldwide. So I could refer you to somebody in any state in the United States, in Canada, Mexico, and several other countries. You can hit me up at my website at www.michelleflood.exp for more information. So this article says 5 things home inspectors wish you knew before buying a home. And the bullet points are prospective homeowners should be proactive, ensuring that they know what they're getting. A house that appears newly renovated that does not necessarily have an up-to-date electrical system. And let me just tell you that not up-to-date electrical system can really screw up the your debt to income, the loan value, what your mortgage payment is going to be, especially if you are rolling your payment with your taxes and insurance into your mortgage payment, and then your mortgage company is making that payment for you. I highly recommend doing that with your mortgage unless you are very disciplined and putting aside that money for the once a year bulk payment that you need to make. So it's really important that when you get your insurance quote, once they go inside of that house with the home inspection and the wiring is aluminum in there, some things need to be changed. And not necessarily do you need to go in and completely gut out that wiring and start over again, but you will need to do conduits that will, they're Alumicon, I think it's called, where they go in and the conduits are changed from aluminum to, I don't even really know. This is above my pay grade what they use to fix that, to make it so that it's not a fire hazard. Most homes built after 1978 don't have aluminum wiring in them anymore anyway. Um, Two home inspectors shared tips with Insider to help home buyers make informed decisions. And I'm going to put a link to this in the description box here on YouTube for you guys and out on my site on Facebook. The decision to buy a new home is not one to be taken lightly. Certified financial planner Colin Moynihan told Insider in 2019 that the cost of a home amounts to one of the top single expenses a person will ever pay. This has only grown more true over time. According to CBS News, the median cost of a home hit record highs by the middle of 2022, exceeding $400,000 because of the hefty cost associated with home ownership. It is imperative that prospective buyers do their due diligence to ensure that a property is worth the investment. And your home inspector, that the choice of that home inspector is very important. You want them to be ASHI certified so that you can get discounts on your homeowner's insurance purchase. That if you have things like up to code new roof with the right kinds of strap downs, especially in Florida with the hurricane code. If your windows are hurricane and thermal resistant to the heat and impact resistant glass, do your doors open out instead of in? Because for when we have storms and winds, you can't blow the doors open that way. There's security systems, smart homes, all of these things give you discounts on your insurance. So, and the person has to be ASHI certified, or you do not get those discounts, and you just threw good money out the door, and only to have to do it again with an ASHI certified inspector. Insider spoke to Ralph Hassard, founder and owner of Criterion Home Inspections in New York City, and James Jadporter, owner of Access Home Inspections in Indianapolis, Indiana. The two experts shared tips to help prospective homebuyers make informed decisions. The first one is be skeptical of renovations and ask for receipts. Homebuyers shouldn't be fooled by a property's glossy, refurbished look. What I try to look out for and protect people from is if they think the house is one thing and it's really another, Hassard said. Explain that developers often simply fluff up the house, presenting it as fully renovated when the changes are purely cosmetic. Some of the wiring can be 50, 60 years old, he said, but they'll have new appliances, new fixtures, and new finishes everywhere. If possible, see any kind of receipts of any work that's been done, which can include past invoices, Hassard said, because a lot of the time people will say, we did all these things, and as an inspector, I can really tell what's inside of the walls. So most homeowners will keep the receipts for the upgrades and the things that they've done to bring their home up to code. If they've rewired, put a new roof on, a new AC, water heater, whatever it is. 9 times out of 10, most of those things require a permit anyway. So even if they don't have the receipt, you can usually go out to the permitting department of the county the house is located in, and you can find those permits and see actually when the work was done. And then you can even go further and search the contractor that was used to make sure that they weren't somebody that just popped up in 2021 when everything was going crazy and threw a shingle up and said, I'm a contractor now. Let me do all these things to your house. Are they still there? Is their business still in good standing, in good reputation, all of that stuff? If you can't find those things, they don't exist. And I can tell you for sure, Citizens is in here in Florida, which is the insurer of last resort. You can tell them all those things and you're going to get a quote that's really reasonable. And then within a year, they're coming and they're going to look at your house and they're going to look to see if those things really look that way to them. And if they don't, you could see your insurance triple on that house because they can't find the receipts for all of the upgrades that the developer or the investor or even the homeowner made. So it's really important that you can find those receipts. Ask about the legality of renovations. When it comes to newly renovated homes, Hassard said prospective buyers should be asking sellers about the status of the permits, which is what I just touched on before I even knew we were going there. There are lots of houses that have a lot of violations, construction work that was never authorized, he told Insider. Because of this, buyers can end up buying a house that may have an illegal bedroom or an illegal addition that can cause a lot of trouble. A homeowner assumes all liability for unauthorized refurbishments, according to the Rocket Mortgage. Depending on the issue and your location, owners of a property with illegal renovations may have to make additional renovations to fix the issue, can face fines of up to $5,000 or be sued by their city. No kidding. Even if you were not the one that did the illegal renovation, if that permit was not pulled and you purchased that house anyway, and you have a neighbor that knew that that's what happened, and you irritate that neighbor is going to call the permitting department. And then they're going to come and want to inspect that thing. They can make you tear it completely out. They can still fine you for what the previous homeowner did, and you have no recourse to that. So these are very important things, and why it's so important that your home inspector is, like I said before, ASHI certified. Even if you're paying cash for the house, you should have, in my opinion, a home inspection and a survey done on the property to make sure that all the meets and bounds are really what you're buying and that all of the work was permitted and done properly. 3, when it comes to electricity, think about safety. It is important that home buyers make certain that their home inspector checks for signs of unsafe living conditions, especially as it relates to the home's mechanical system. I've seen families come in all ready to pick out paint colors and move in with their kids, he said, and I'm looking around and I just see that the whole mechanical system is outdated. Specifically, Hassard warns of knob and tube wiring and old wiring systems that runs copper wire through porcelain cylinders, which are often attached to a home's wooden beams. It does not have a ground wire, and it can become dangerous if not properly maintained. So that's what I was trying to explain to you that I said was above my pay grade. I totally forgot about those screw-in knob kind of fuses and stuff, but that's what was in a majority, if not all of the houses when I moved to Florida in 1980. I remember going with my dad to the hardware store to test those knobs and tubes, and then you had to take them and match them to the knobs and tubes and buy new ones to put into the box that was the breaker box outside. All of that should be updated because it's a fire hazard, and the last thing you want to do is have a fire behind your wall that you don't even know is happening. Everybody's asleep and your house burns down. I have a neighbor in Bradenton that was getting his interior of his house painted, and that was how they discovered that his wires were melting behind the wall, and he was probably a matter of hours away from having a fire. And it just was a serendipitous thing that he decided to have the house painted. And when the guy went over to the wall to scrape off the paint, he felt the wall and he said, this wall is burning up hot, and busted it open. And then the wires were smoking behind the wall. It was just outer limits. There are a lot of older homes in the US that were electrified back in the 30s and 40s when something called knob and tube wiring was still used. Talk to any fireman and they'll tell you that if there's knob and tube wiring in the house, it's just waiting to burn down, Hassard said. 4, look for water damage. So when I walk into the house, everybody's that I walk in with my buyers, and it's because you're looking at, can you see yourself in this living room? And I'm looking at the ceiling, and I'm looking at the floorboards, and I'm looking under the sinks to see if I can tell that water leaked anywhere from anything. You know what I mean? It's really important. What are they hiding? Did they paint something on the ceiling and now tell you, oh, that was from before and I had that fixed? You don't know. And then that's why we have to go back to the permits, right? So the biggest problems James Porter finds are structural issues caused by water. Water is the home's enemy, he told Insider. If there's water and moisture in your crawl space, there's a good chance there's mold down there. There's a good chance you're going to find rot in the structure of your building, he said. And there's a good chance the foundation has integrity problems. The importance of ensuring that a home has been properly waterproofed cannot be overstated. So, and here's another thing I just want to tell you. If you're buying a house in the state of Florida, you got mold in it. I don't care where you live, and I don't care if there is water damage or not, you have mold in your house. And there's only one way to know for sure if the mold in your house is at acceptable levels, and that's to do an air quality control test. And the way that I was taught, and this may be different now. Sorry, my dogs are trying to tell me I'm wrong. The only way that I was taught to know for sure that happened was to go to the Army Corps of Engineers, and they test outside and inside, and it's parts per whatever to know how much mold is in the house. That may be different. You might even be able to get those tests now at Home Depot. I'll do my best to try to figure that out this week and let you guys know about that later. But there's mold in every house in Florida because we're at sea level, and that's just the way it is. 5, even the smallest sighting of bugs is a bad sign. Determining the severity of a bug problem is one of the more difficult processes associated with home inspection. It's hard to tell the extent of bug infestation because you only have limited access to how much of the structure of the house that you can see, Hassard said. So usually when I'm walking in, before I start looking at the ceiling and the floorboards and underneath your sinks, I'm looking at the jambs around the door too. How is that? We're looking for wood destroying organisms of any type, including water damage, because in Florida, rain is sideways all the time. And if you got wooden door jambs they're not maintained, you're going to have wood rot there from that, as well as you could have termites and carpenter ants and other little critters that burrow into the walls and stuff. And I am not a big fan of wood mulch for that reason, because you're just asking them to come have dinner here at this smorgasbord. So if you're going to put mulch down, I always think it's much better if you use like rubber mulch or even rock before you use mulch, especially if it's going to lean up against your house. If it's going to be a foot or two away from your house and they're not going to be inviting them into your home, that's one thing. But wood mulch it's stupid anyway, because it fades and you have to redo it every year, and I'm lazy and I don't want to do that. So that's my whole thing. But you might be like Martha Stewart and Oorah and all that stuff. So whatever. Therefore, even a seemingly insignificant sign of a bug infestation should be taken seriously. If you see a section that has termites, you just don't really know how long it's gone on and how much damage it's done, Hassard said. So what we recommend is a home inspection and the pest inspection, and that should be done in the first 5 to 7 days of your contract. And you give your earnest money, you order the inspections, and you get all that done so that if we find anything that makes you uncomfortable, we can immediately get you out of that contract. And I agree with everything that was inside of this article. Again, I'll link it in the description box for you. And if you need a referral anywhere inside of the United States, you can go to www.michelleflood.exp and hit me up for a referral on your house. And if you just want to have a home inspection for your own peace of mind, or because you just recently had some work done on your property, I can hook you up with somebody to do that as well. And that might even help you with lessening the cost of your insurance. So anyway, you guys take care, and I'll probably pop out later with my tarot card. Have a good day.